Have you ever looked at Cavalry's website and gone, how do they make that pie chart? In this video, I want to show you how you can quickly create a pie chart just like that from your own data. This is what you need to know, making a pie chart in Cavalry. To start, we will need the data. Here I have a small CSV spreadsheet I made in Excel. You can also make a spreadsheet in Google Docs and import it in a similar fashion. This fictitious data shows what state people at a local high school are going to college in. Before we start creating the pie chart in Cavalry, we need to make one small edit to the data. We will need to create another column where we can take the cumulative sum excluding the first element. I will explain why in a moment. To do this, we can simply write a formula and then copy it down for all our rows. We can do a sum of the top value to the current value, and then subtract the top value from it. The dollar signs, if you are unfamiliar with Excel, lock the values in place. We can drag it downwards, and Excel will auto-complete the rest with what we need. The reason we do this is so we can position our pie slices correctly. The pie slices start from the top and go to the right, but the shape rotation values go to the left. Save and close the data, and let's hop into Cavalry. Alright, now that we have made our way into Cavalry, let's first set up our workspace. We will need to import the file that we just created. Import asset, CSV. And you'll also need to set up our shape and our duplicator. Alt-click on the arc to create a default arc. Click on the arc and hit the grid to create a duplicator and automatically attach arc to the duplicator. In the attribute editor, we want to hide our original arc shape so we see only our duplicated arcs. Then we want to change the grid to a circle and change the count to the number of slices we want in our pie. Once we've done that, we want to set our radius to 0 and also uncheck use rotation because we want to use our own rotation values that we created with our new column in the spreadsheet. Now let's go to assets and import two instances of our new spreadsheet, one for each column. If we open it in the attribute editor, we can set one to be the first column and set the other to be the other column. Now, we will have to convert whatever unit our data is in into degrees to use in our pie chart. Simply add two math notes by clicking the plus sign, choosing math. There. Then, we will have to divide 360 by the summation of all your data. Since I am using percentages, the sum will be 100%. I can simply do 360 divided by 100 to get 3.6. We will then have to multiply each row in our data by 3.6 to get the number of degrees. To do this, we can simply set 3.6 to be the first value, and we can drag our test data into the second, and as you see in our result, we see our degree amount. 25% is 90 degrees. We can do the same thing for our second math node with our other column of data. Perfect. Now, we will have to apply the math operations to our duplicator. First, let's do the rotations. We can drag the result of the second math node, the one where we use the cumulative sum minus the first element, into the rotation value of the duplicator. We want to use the shape rotation. Now that we have our shape rotation value set, we need to set the size of each pie. To do this, we want to set our start angle inside the arc shape to 0. The end angle will be equal to the output of the first math node, where the first math node is the one where we multiply the original data by 3.6. So simply drag that down to the end angle. And as you can see here, that is all it takes to complete the pie chart. Now that we have made our pie chart, it's time to color and animate it. There are a number of ways to color the pie chart, but the way I will be doing it is with a color array. I will go to the scene window and add an array. I'll add a color array. In my color array, I can add a color for each slice of my pie. Since I have 5 slices, I'm going to need 5 colors. Alright, now that I have my 5 colors, I can drag the color array to the arc shape to the fill tab and add to fill color. Now, to animate it, we can do a number of things. To make each pie slice animate one after another, we can use the stagger node and connect it to the shape time offset. So we can go to the elements and add a stagger, and then we can drag the stagger and connect it to the shape time offset in the duplicator. Now that we have our stagger node connected to the duplicator, I can explain what the stagger does. The stagger will stagger each element by a value between the minimum and the maximum. It will start at the minimum and go in equal increments until it reaches the maximum. The offset will control how much the minimum and maximum is offset. An offset of -10, for example, will make the minimum in this case -10 and the maximum -5. Alright, now we will animate the pie chart in a similar fashion to how Cavalry did it on their website. First, we can set our ending keyframes to be our current position values. So we can move our scrubber to the end frame and animate both the outer radius and the inner radius. Then we can go to the beginning and we can change the inner radius and the outer radius to some value in between, but in the middle. That way it expands from the middle. Preferably a value exactly in between of both of these. 40 plus 100, 140, divided by 2 is 70, 70 plus 40, or is 70, so both will be 70. As you can see, the stagger has messed things up a little bit, so you can adjust the offset in the stagger. You will find that the offset is going to be equal to the maximum value. Alright, now that we have everything in place, feel free to play with the stagger node and the keyframes in order to find an animation that you like. Make sure to keep the value of the offset in the stagger node equal to the negative value of the maximum in the stagger node. This will make sure that things happen at the right time. Now that we got the thing to animate nicely, let's add a little bit of rotation to bring everything together. We can add the rotation to the duplicator, that way all the elements are rotated at the same time. So we'll hit the keyframe on rotation, drag it a bit farther out, and add a little bit of rotation. There we go. Now let's try. Once again, here's another place where you can play around with the values of the keyframes until you find an animation that you like. And there we go. We have a simple animation for our pie chart in Cavalry. Of course, there are so many other ways you can animate this. As always, I will encourage you to play around and try new things. And that concludes this video. Here, we can see our final animation. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like so I know you enjoyed it. Also, if you have any ideas for videos I should do in the future, please leave a comment down below. Now, you know what you need to know to make pie charts in Cavalry.